It wasn't the transfer window that anybody would have wanted, any sane person at least. Kool-Aid knew that it would be an uphill battle for the club to get back from the financial position it's in. And as much as we said, don't look forward to anything, and Barcelona going to be sitting this one out, and expect that Barcelona won't be able to get off Coutinho and Umtiti and Pjanić's contracts, of all those warnings, Kool-Aid still, at their hearts, I know we're cynical, but there is some optimism. There's some belief that Barcelona will be able to figure something out, that moving money around, that it'll make sense that Messi had to leave, or that Barcelona were really struggling, yet even though Messi's gone, we still want them to have brought somebody in. And I know there's so many feelings. So as much as I'm the numbers guy, as much as you know you can come here and I'm going to go through every player that left and why it was a good idea based on numbers and analytics and data and all those things, I'm going to do things a little different with this transfer recap. I want to speak from the heart. I want to say, hey, I think this was a good move, or this made sense for this reason. I do want to look at all that player movement with a big bird's eye view and see what we can find. And let's start with the outgoing players. Emerson to Tottenham, and this is a weird one. I start here because, yes, he came in for 9 million euros, but he leaves for 25 million with add-ons, Real Betis receiving a portion. It's a confusing transfer, and of all the ones, even the Messi one that we'll get to later, this is the one I think is the most puzzling. The club truly must need the money, and it was a player in Emerson that 25 mil for is probably just at the top of his market value, so the club in their financial position just couldn't say no, and Tottenham swooped in at the opportune time. Junior Firpo was a player they always wanted to get off the books. He heads to Leeds United for 15 million plus add-ons and 20% of any future sale, which I think is actually a pretty decent market value and a good deal for a backup left back that just never found his footing at Barcelona. It is sad to see those players that never find their way at the Camp Nou, but Junior Firpo will hopefully have a better career, and Barcelona can prosper off that 20% of any future sale. Jean-Clair Todibo is a big what-if for the club. You never knew what he could have provided if he was ever given the opportunity for, but instead we're just seeing him become a quality Ligue 1 center back at Nice. 8.5 million plus add-ons, no buyback. This is always going to happen that way, and it's actually a similar number for which they got him for, that being the club a few seasons ago, so it winds up being you win some, you lose some. Jean-Clair Todibo, I hope he has great success, but he is already getting to that age where I think Juan Araujo is a better player, and if you're going to compare like for like, I'll go with Araujo. Next up is Carlos Alenya to Adafe, 5 million, 50% of any future sale with a buyback option and first right of refusal. This is a good deal for Barcelona based on the fact that Alenya's market value, I guess, couldn't be any lower. They didn't want to send him out on loan again. They wanted to make sure they make good on that money. And if Alenya winds up being sold, which I think for him, if Adafe is going to struggle and he's going to get relegated, he's probably going to go somewhere else for more than 5 million. And Barcelona getting 50% of any future sale is a pretty good deal. Sad to see Alenya go, but we're noticing already that Nico Gonzalez and Gabi, and even Ricky Puig and Alex Callado can do what he did, and they're younger. For Ray Minaj, never really got his chance in the first team. He wore that 14 shirt, but only on the bench. He heads to Italy, to Spezia Classio. They're in Serie A with a loan and a 3 million buy option that you would assume that Spezia, if they remain in the first division, will take. But Ray Minaj also has to have the kind of year that he did last year for Barca B, where he scored in double figures for the first time in his career. We've got some free transfers up next. Juan Miranda to Real Betis, the club of his youth. 40% of a future sale to FC Barcelona, and I feel like Juan Miranda, if he has any bit of success to make him worth a future sale, he'll want to stay at Real Betis and they'll want to pay him. And if he does leave and he's sold on, it's probably for a lesser number. So I don't think Barcelona are going to get much out of that deal, but they are doing right by a player that was steadfast and gave a lot to that academy through the years in Miranda. Let's quickly do the next one. It's Lionel Messi, free transfer to PSG. I have nothing to add that you haven't heard on the podcast or read on BarcaBlog.com. I'm still hurting. You're still hurting. It's the one that's puzzling. It's the one that we'll, I think, never know the truth about. And maybe down the road we can read about in the future in books and narratives and memoirs. And as all the important players in this eventually leak some stuff out, we'll have to see what the real truth behind all this was. But at this time, we're all still disappointed. Next up, Matteus Fernandez, contract termination for him. I wasn't too happy about the way the club went about it. As much as we put the onus on the new board for handling that improperly, boy oh boy, the old board, this is going to go down in history as one of the absolute worst transfers ever done at FC Barcelona. I don't need to look it up. Almost 9 million euros for Matteus Fernandez, who played just against Dinamo Kiev in one Champions League game and never made any sense. It was about those commissions to Brazilian scouts. Nonsense. Manchu, the midfielder from Mallorca, finally also left the club as a free transfer to Granada, so we do wish him well in the first division as well, and hopefully he can have a big role there. Again, just wishing the best for a La Masia player. Trincao with a loan to Wolverhampton and a 25 million option to buy. They must pay $5 million if they don't trigger it, is what I've also read, that being Wolves. So even though he didn't do his best at Barcelona, he's still a young player, and other teams around the world, particularly in the Premier League, seem to really, really like him, and I think that $25 million option will be paid by Wolverhampton. On to Ilaix Moriba. Again, go to the podcast. You can listen about every side of this story, every opinion we've had on the podcast. Finally, he goes to RB Leipzig for 16 million euros, and as I've said many times before, 16 mil is a pretty good price for a player that had only made 14 appearances for the first team and is still 18 years old. 3.15 million euros go to Almeria for left back Sergio Akeme, and Carlos de la Fuente heads to Marseille for 3 million euros. And the most important number here isn't the 3 million euros up top, it's the 50% rights of a future sale that Barcelona hold. That could be a good number for the American Conrad de la Fuente, especially as Americans get in vogue in Europe and more teams want to tap into that American market. 3 million, sure, that's fine up front, but the future sale is where this deal matters. Antoine Griezmann, it's a loan with 40 million obligation to buy to Atletico Madrid. 35 goals in 102 games. That's the only statistic I'm going to give you here. That wasn't good enough for Barcelona. Everybody knew that. The player knew that. And I think those who fear that he's going to go and help Atletico Madrid win the league, the counter argument is that we didn't feel like he was going to help Barcelona win the league. So whether he's winning at Atletico Madrid or not winning at Barcelona pocketing 40 million euros next summer when maybe they could make some kind of big move, you'd rather take the money now and make sure that that deal is done before he has another flop of a season. And finally, rounding out the outros, Oriol Busquets, a free transfer to Clermont, who just secured promotion to Ligue 1 in the French First Division. Good luck to Oriol Busquets, who was another one of those long-term academy products who we wish the best for after his career was slightly derailed by injuries and failed loans. And now for the hopeful part, the players that have come in. Generally free transfers, but also Yusuf Demir. Demir joins Barsa on a 500,000 euro loan from Rapid Vienna and a buy option of 10 million, which I assume the club is going to take, especially after he's going to be in the first team for a whole year as an 18-year-old. And then the free transfers we've talked about before, Memphis coming from Lyon, Sergio Aguero coming from Man City, and Eric Garcia also coming from Man City. Those two of which were more than 10 years apart in age do come to the club from the same club, but for very different reasons. The deadline day move was Luuk de Jong, season-long loan with an option to buy from Sevilla. Not the play that any Culés wanted, and I understand the frustration that you say, why bring in any player at all? Just play a player from the academy. But with Barca B, and I'm going to go over their transfers in a second, they didn't have that number 9 to step in. That would have been Ray Minaj. So the club decided to get Luuk de Jong for free instead of Ray Minaj. So if you look at it as De Jong for Minaj instead of De Jong for Messi and Griezmann, the deal seems to make a lot more sense. But I understand the frustration about the prestige of FC Barcelona bringing in the likes of Martin Braithwaite and Luuk de Jong and thinking that's going to solve their problems while you watch players like Luis Suarez, Messi, and Griezmann hit the door. We talked about Alex Gallardo's promotion in theory on the latest podcast as well. We thought he was going to get a loan at the 11th hour, but because that went through, he is neither registered at present time to the first team or the B team, which is not a good thing for Alex Gallardo. That means he might actually sit on the bench and wait till January until he probably won't be registered with Barcelona, but he could finally get some kind of loan out. A sad, sad thing for the 22-year-old. Iñaki Peña, once again promoted in theory. He won't be playing with the B team. He'll be registered as a first-team player, but he's the third goalkeeper on the depth chart behind Neto, and since Neto didn't get a move now, I don't think Neto will get a move in January. That means Iñaki Peña will not play this year, and it'll be a waste of a season for the young Spanish goalkeeper. So the first-team transfer window was kind of as expected. It was disappointing. Barcelona did hit on some, like Memphis, on free transfers, and that's what they had to do to have any success in this transfer window, but largely it has to be a loss. It has to feel like a failure because the big contracts were not moved and the club obviously lost Messi and sold Griezmann. So it's not like selling Griezmann helped them to register Messi, as some were made to believe. For Barca B, they brought in a ton of players, some of which I'm excited about, like the 19-year-old right winger from Hercules, Abde. Ferran Jucla comes over from Espanyol Bay, 22-year-old right winger. Kais Ruiz Atil, an 18-year-old center midfielder from PSG who returns to the academy after a few years. And that transfer ban, it felt like Barca had done him dirty then. So good to see that he was willing to come back to the club and they were able to reward him for wanting to come back to the club. 20-year-old attacking midfielder from Granada B, Antonio Aranda, who's already been in the starting lineup. Guillaume Jaime, after a 1-year stint at Castellon, comes back as a 22-year-old right back and immediately steps in as one of the 4 captains. So clearly, Barca B, which had been very young last year, was still young this year, wanted to get just a bit older and bring back some experienced voices in that locker room. And Jaime does do that. Jordy Escobar, the 19-year-old center forward on loan from Almeria, that is one of those that if Barca do hit on this young player, then they've got a 20-year-old number 9 next year who might look pretty promising for the first team. And then 24-year-old center forward from Ibiza, Angel Rodado, who truly is the Barca B replacement for Ray Minaj. So there you have it. Those are all the transfers that have gone on with the first team, and at least the intros, those players who've come in to Barca B. Once more, I reiterate, it was frustrating. I understand the comments are going to be largely negative, but I do these just because I want to get this off my chest too. So if you want more videos like this, there's also the video I just made about the history of the number 10 at Barcelona. That took a lot of work. This didn't take as much work, though. Yeah, maybe the graphics are a little bit. Anyway, if you want more content on the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, share, and all that, so I do have some incentive to make more of these. And until next time, I hope you enjoy the podcast and Forza Barca.